Hello, welcome to BI111, Biological Diversity and Evolution. My name is Tristan Long, and it is my honor to be your instructor this upcoming semester. I have been a member of the Department of Biology here at Laurier since 2010, and when I interviewed for this position, I was asked, so what kind of classes would you like to teach? And the first thing I said is, I want to teach first-year biology. And this somewhat caught my committee off guard, I guess, because this class is not always one that is people's top choice. One, because it covers a wide range of different topics, and two, it is a very large class. If we were sitting in BA111, where we normally do these lectures during non-pandemic years, you'd be surrounded by hundreds and hundreds of students. There are over 800 students in this particular class, and that is often a big challenge. Why did I pick Bio111? Well, for two reasons. First of all, I love the subject. We live on a planet, the blue-green planet on the unfashionable end of the western spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy that is teeming with life. Millions, billions of different species on this planet. How many species? We actually have a really poor idea of knowing because there is so much life. Some of the best recent estimates estimated about 8.7 million, but that's just eukaryotic species. And there are far more things on this planet than eukaryotic species, as you can see here. This is a family tree, if you will, showing all the different branches on the tree of life. And you can see that eukaryotes only sort of represent a small chunk of this larger tree. If you're trying to find your position, here's where you'd find plants, and here's where you'd find people. So, and the 8.7 million species only refers to that small green sliver that is the eukaryotes. How many species are there? We've taken everything into account. Hundreds of millions? Billions? That's a great question. It's a very exciting question. So I'm really interested not only in understanding the diversity of all these different species, why we have so many different species, but also understanding that all these species are related to each other. So understanding the branching pattern that leads to new species, as well as understanding the variation we find within species, the sometimes hidden, sometimes obvious variation we find within species. All of these are really important things where we want to understand where we are in this planet, what's happening to this planet, and where it's going to go in the future. Now, my second reason for wanting to teach this class was that personally, I really did not have a great time in first year biology during my undergrad phases, and part of the reason was that I really was not that engaged with the material. These were in the first early days of what's called the mega lectures. We sat in the basketball stadium in the dark, and they had just invented PowerPoint slides to give you a hint about what my early undergrad days were. We'd sit in the dark and watch words on the screen, and it was all very soporific, and sometimes you would doze off, and you really were not particularly great at retaining the information. And I actually did my worst course in first year biology. First year was my biology grade. So that stuck with me because I really love biology, and I stuck to it, and I ended up becoming a professor in the Department of Biology. And that was despite the fact that I really was not that engaged in the material. So as I've been working my way through and up towards a teaching role, I've been trying to work to think about how we can be more effective at communicating information and helping everyone learn. Because you are spending large amounts of money to be here, and we wanted to get the most bang for your buck. There is a famous pedagogical study that found that only 5% of what you pick up in a lecture you actually retain, which is not a really good return. I want you to engage with that information, and one of the ways we're going to do this is by being more active. trying to figure out ways how to get you more directly involved with the material, because the more practice, the more directly involved you are with information, the more you repeat it, the more expert you become at understanding not the information, not just remembering what it is, but applying it to new situations. So in this class, what we're going to do is we're going to go beyond just looking at your textbook and looking at the definition, but trying to apply the ideas in those pages to the world around us, to understand and go beyond what's on the page. So this kind of active learning exercises is going to take many different formats, and it's going to be slightly changed up, partially because we're doing this remotely. But we're going to try throughout the whole sort of semester to do my best on this. The course itself is broken down into both the lecture component, which makes up 70% of your final grade, and the tutorials, which make up 30% of your grade. And there's a separate syllabus that covers the tutorials. You can have 5 or 6 tutorials throughout the semester, and they're going to be a variety of different activities that you do on your own, data collection. You'll need to purchase some software called Symbio software. You can share with a friend if you want. That you're going to be using throughout the semester. It's only $6 US, and it's going to be very useful for you. The remainder of the grades, the 70%, is going to come through a combination of different things. We're going to have a midterm one midterm and a final exam. The midterm is the final Friday before reading week, so February the 12th, if I remember my dates correctly, and one final exam during the regular exam period. The other bulk of your grade that's not part of those 2 exams is going to come from what we call entrance and exit quizzes. So each week you're going to have an entrance quiz, which is going to be a short 10 multiple choice questions that are going to be based on the readings for the week ahead. So before we start next week's lectures on population genetics, there's going to be an entrance quiz, which is going to sort of focus in on looking at the definitions, the terminology that makes up it's found in the textbook, and those are going to be fairly straightforward, easy things to do. The reason why I do this is because I want you to engage with the textbook before we start looking at lectures, so that you're familiar with some of the terms, that we don't have to sort of start from square one, that hopefully you're already ahead. And having this for grades gives you an incentive to do that, and a reward for keeping ahead of things. During a regular lecture week, we're going to look at new situations, new problems, go beyond what is covered in the textbook, and at the end of that week, there's going to be an exit quiz, and this exit quiz is going to be more based on more applied ideas and concepts that is going to sort of gauge your understanding and expertise on the topics of the week. So every week you'll have an entrance quiz and an exit quiz, and that will proceed throughout the rest of the semester. The remainder part of your grade is going to come from a little thing called biology journals, which is an opportunity to exercise your observation and your writing skills. I'll make a special recording that talks about biology journals. They're going to be a lot of fun. They'll be due later on in the semester. This is obviously a very odd situation that we're in, and you can sometimes be a little overwhelmed. And one of the things that is hardest to do is to sort of how to stay connected to the material. How do you know if you're actually doing well? Well, there's a bunch of different resources that are going to be here for you. The first of which is going to be the Learning Objectives page. So for every week's material, all the readings, I have broken down each of the individual elements that I would hope that you'd be able to achieve to become an expert at throughout the that week's topics. So we break them down into basic learning objectives, which are much more sort of the definitional, simple things. These are pretty much the same kind of questions that you'd kind of be asked on your entrance quiz. So as you're reading your book, you can sort of check these off. And then the second half of the learning objectives is the active or the advanced learning objectives. So these are the ones that are going to require you to sort of think more deeply, to apply the concepts, to understand sort of where we're going. So each one of those are going to be posted on my learning space, and they serve as not only a study guide for you, they are what I use when I'm writing my midterm and final exam. Like I say, these are literally the things that I would expect and hope that everyone is able to achieve after this semester. The second thing to help you out is going to be virtual student hours. So I'm going to be using the time slots available on Wednesdays and Fridays, where we would normally, if we were here in person, be having lectures. I'm going to be having Zoom sessions where you can drop in, ask questions of me to clarify concepts and things like that. I'm going to be posting 2 to 3 videos every week at the beginning of the week, and then any questions you have, please come on by. Drop your questions in the chat window, or turn on your microphone and or camera and ask them to me. I'm here to help you out. The third thing we have are SI students, supplementing instruction students, who are going to be doing weekly sessions that are review sessions of the key ideas. The students that they have this year are excellent, and you'll meet them in our first student hours this week, and they're there. Fourthly is writing to me by email. There are a lot of you, 800 or so, but I will try to get your emails answered as promptly as possible. And I'm going to try my best to sort of respond to everyone as quickly and as efficiently as I can. So what's going to happen in the weeks ahead? Well, this is our first video. There's going to be a couple more for this week that are going to sort of talk about the basic concepts of genetics. And the reason why we're doing this is because there's a wide range of different backgrounds of people taking BI111. Some of you may have taken OAC biology as a grade 12U biology. Some of you may not have done it in 11. Since 11, there's a lot of variation. It may be a couple years since you even have taken biology, and you may not remember it. Next week, we're starting with population genetics. But I don't want to leave anyone behind. So for the remaining couple lectures of this week, we're going to be going through the basic cursory sense, the concepts underlying genetic variation, the concept of mutation, the relationship between genotype and phenotype. How are genotypes and alleles expressed by individuals? It should be a lot of fun. With that in mind, then, while this material is going to be reviewed, it won't be directly tested. But next week, when we start talking about population genetics, you're going to need to understand, the concepts of like recessiveness and dominance and things like that. After next week, which is population genetics, we're going to be talking about species and speciations and talking about patterns of evolution. So if you take a look in your syllabus, you have each week sort of broken down beyond that. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. If you're having any issues or having problems, please let me know. I am here to help, because the one thing that hopefully everyone has realized by now is that in this pandemic, we really need to focus on communication, we need to focus on self-care, helping each other, patience, and understanding. Your physical and mental health is of paramount importance to me, and I will do whatever I need to do to help you out along the way. So please don't suffer in silence. If you're having any difficulties, we're going to have what I hope to be an exciting and adventurous semester ahead of us. Wishing you all well. Looking forward to seeing you at our first student meeting. Bye.